Hello, my name is Jimmy, and I want to talk about something that's been on my mind for a long time. So, apparently, I went onto the internet, and I looked up, could Pokemon be real? And basically, what I got results was simply this. Could technology bring Pokemon to life? Could technology bring Pokemon to life? Does Pokemon take place in the real world? ETC, you get the idea. But I want to do something different. I want to take a look at this. What if Pokemon actually exist in this world already? Well, I'm going to be presenting 3 parts about this. And basically, I'm going to go from easiest to hardest to answer. So basically, where I'm going to start off is this, the easiest to answer. Where do you think Pokemon would be? Well, this is the easiest one to answer, and not based off of any political beliefs or any social beliefs or any philosophies, just pure hard fact. Well, for one thing we know is that the Kanto region is based off of, has a name exactly the same to that of a region in Japan known as Kanto. Hang on a second. By this information, we can tell what Pokemon could be. However, if you are, and let's look at this though. Most Pokemon games, Japan has sold Pokemon to America and Europe. The English is the language I know the most, is one of the most languages I know, and USA is my homeland, so both of those are going to be real easy to explain. Now let's start off on the first level. The first one we're going to start off is this. You see, there's only 126 million people in Japan, while there's 331 million people in the United States of America alone. A lot more people in the United States than in Japan, by 3 times. And this is a side note, in Britain, there are about 66 million people. I'm not sure if it's England itself or Great Britain. Okay, just don't quote me on that. Figure that out yourself. Sort of thing, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, moving on. Those groups speak English. And yes, a lot of kids from like in the late 1990s to the 2000s up to now are going to like Pokemon. And Pokemon is something that a lot of people grew up, and that's why there's a fan base, mostly consisting of adults. Well, I'm pretty young, and I got into it a little bit late, but what happens is, most people that want Pokemon to be real simply live in America, or Britain, and this is simply based off of what I've experienced with stuff like YouTube, because YouTube is obviously an American website, and primarily English language is English. However, it is possible to encounter some people in America that do speak Spanish. It is possible, but unlikely. And it is very rare to find people that speak Japanese in America. That is one of the rarest languages. I've never heard any. I've only met one person that is not a child that was Japanese, and is not from any of my parents. Someone else, completely new and different, that is Japanese, in all of Arizona, and he wasn't even a permanent resident. So, moving on. Basically, by looking at this, are we searching in the right place for Pokemon if you're looking for them to be real? This moves on to the second question. Are we looking in the right place? Well, if you're in Britain, I don't know, because I have never been there before, and therefore I am unable to determine such facts. I cannot make assumptions on something I do not even know about. However, I do know about USA and Arizona in particular. And this does apply to some states like California, Nebraska. I'm not sure if I went to a game at all in Florida. I'm not sure. Nebraska, Florida, California. Pretty much, you get the gist. But, like, what happens is, there's, like, sometimes in the peripheral vision, I might see Pokémon. Now, granted, this might just simply be an effect of wanting them to be real. But it's kind of different. You see, I do not have any real experiences with hallucinations. The closest thing I can relate to a hallucination is when you get really tired and you play a video game, the same kind for a long time. What happens is your mind still plays the video game and yet you're still tired, thus causing things to flash in your front of you for minutes or seconds. Seconds to minutes. Aspects of the HUD, for example. Unless you play really far away from the screen, not really far, unless you play right up next to the screen, it is highly unlikely you're going to see anything from the video game fatigue-induced hallucination in your peripheral vision. Now, there's something else I've been there's something else I want to talk about. Not just sights, sounds. They're much more common to find than sightings. Sightings are extremely rare, and they can only happen at night. The best place to look for them is like in a public stadium when events going on. And look up around places that would be, as you would think, would be too dangerous to go up to. Like, for example, the top of the baseball stadium, and then the thing opens up. Look up there. You might have a chance of seeing something, but you got to be careful. And also, here's another fact you should actually take into consideration: the sounds. Sound-induced hallucinations are much harder to come by, and I know only 3 causes as of right now. Video game fatigue, same thing. It's very different. It's very hard for that to be triggered. And I have experienced it. It's just very difficult and very rare to trigger. Radiation sickness. Another possible result. But as of right now, there is no nuclear power plant accident, no waste reporting, no stolen radioactive fuel rods, or nuclear explosions. Obviously not nuclear explosions, otherwise they'd probably not even be here right now, but, like, you get the gist of it. Not that I know of. And basically this happened on Friday, and I'm doing this right now on Saturday, and probably if I had hallucinations because of radiation poisoning, I probably wouldn't be here right now, or probably be unable to talk clearly. Although I might mess up my words a bit because this is a new thing I'm doing. So, yes, let's look at it. Between 10 minutes and an hour after I stopped playing a video game, I went upstairs to go to take a shower, then take a bath, and then, when my parent was down here playing Xbox, he does that stuff when I go to bed, because, it's the best time to play it, when he's asleep. So what happens is, I heard something. I heard water running in the upstairs room. Near my room. I pondered this. What could be going on? And in games like Minecraft, even Destiny, you will not hear water pouring like it's in another room. No. You just hear water pouring like as if it's a smooth waterfall, not roaring, crashing, you know what I mean. You see, that's all good and done, but, like, another thing is that I will hear, this happens also at nightfall. This also happens as well. It's rare, and it's very hard to find, but if you're up between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m., there is a chance for you to hear knocking in the other room nearby. Now, this could be cut down to being semi-awake, semi-asleep, the house settling, or hallucinations, or basically just simply being a little bit paranoid, or video game sounds. I can tell you right now, Destiny does not have any knocking sounds. The closest in Minecraft you get is punching something, and that's constant. Even when in creative, you'll hear a block break, and it's like that. And basically, according to that, we wouldn't be able to hear just simply knocking. It's now semi-awake and semi-sleep explanations. If you stay up all night long watching 28 days later, 28 weeks later, or you play too many zombie horror games like, example, Last of Us, for too long, it is possible that being semi-awake and semi-asleep can cause knocking sounds to occur. Five Nights at Freddy's does not have knocking sounds. It's a little bit ridiculous. Now, there might be a tiny bit of controversy because it's not complete. It's because some of the stuff might be up for debate because of what's going on, because of evidence, and it kind of varies on. And also, in order to encounter these sounds, you need to have a strong belief that Pokemon are real and you are not willing to hurt a Pokemon. Now, since this sounds a little bit extreme, this is why this might be a little bit of an issue, but at least it's not going to be as controversial as the third part we're going to talk about. The only real controversy is that, do you think Pokemon are real or no? And no, you're not going to be crazy if you think they are. In fact, you could be 100% correct. Well, let's just not be mean. Let's just not be jerks about it, okay? Let's just be civil about this. And if you have evidence that supports it, great. If you have evidence that supports it, great. Just let me know in the comments. Okay? And I actually do read the comments, but I just barely get any, so yes, it is very difficult for me to get comments. Now on to another topic. This is the worst topic of this all. Why are Pokemon hiding and or why are they afraid of us? Be a little bit careful. This might disrupt some religious/political beliefs. Well, let's first talk about when did this stuff actually happen. Well, I'm not sure how Pokemon will be involved in this with stuff like mythologies, like Buddhism. I'm not sure how that could be directly related, but there could be an indirect correlation. There are legendary Pokemon. That's one thing. But I'm just getting off another topic, but that's another topic for another show, and I'd be glad to talk about potential religious connections. I'm not going to go into Arceus. No, it's plain and obvious what he is. And also, now back to what we were going to talk about. Why are Pokemon afraid of us? Be a little bit careful. This might start some controversy. It depends on your political beliefs and religious beliefs. Now, I'm just saying religious beliefs is taking maximum precautions. I'm not sure if it actually will disrupt anyone's religious beliefs, but since it might involve, since it has something to do with religion, I just thought I'd put that out. Okay. Here we go. During World War I, it was a difficult time for the country of Russia. And in order to finance the war, the Russian government was making a lot of money. This led to massive inflation. What happened next was that a guy named Karl Marx wrote the Communist Manifesto. He said the goal of socialism is communism. Now that's where communism comes from. In communism, oh no, it uses fear to control people. They started a violent a revolution called the French Revolution and the October Revolution, which both intended on overthrowing the government and replacing with the Communist Socialist Party. Once this was done, fear was induced across the whole place. And here's where religion takes place. The communists want to make the state God. Okay, this is where the religious beliefs can come into play. And they're obviously political beliefs, but we're not into that completely, yet. But communism does use fear to control its people. And why is this important? Well, you gotta know that Pokemon, they may seem powerful, but a lot of Pokemon that are not, there's actually a lot of Pokemon that are not powerful. As you can see, a lot of Pokemon are usually below the height of humanity. Usually below 5 feet. It's possible to come across Pokemon that are at least 5 feet tall. And then it's rare to see Pokemon above the 7 feet, the 7 to 9 feet max limit. The 7 to 9 feet ratio, never mind. Yes, that is correct. But like, now we gotta go back into the control thing. You see, fear can easily spread amongst things that are weak and defenseless. Well, fear is something that is used to control the mass, that the communists use to control the masses. I'm not saying anything, I'm not criticizing anything, I'm just simply pointing out a fact. However, this should also be noted that around this time, a certain someone, I'd rather not want to talk about this because it might cause it might cause even more controversy, and I don't want that to happen. A certain someone was rising to power and breaking the treaty that was formed in World War I. Yes, this guy was using fear as well, and teamed up with Japanese people. Long story short, World War II shortly followed up, and then USA finally defeated Japan with some devices, and then finally, that's the end of it. That's the end of the first part. Glad we got that over. That's one of the hardest parts. That's one of the worst controversial parts, I think. It's factual information and possible ties to evidence. I'm citing history here, just please don't be a little bit upset about it. Okay, so back to the other thing. Okay, so back to the history part. Shortly after World War II, after the Soviet Union acquired the ability to make nuclear bombs, Cold War begins. The Cold War was like like two guys holding a shotgun at each other's faces. Well, this might not be such a good analogy, but like, it's still an analogy. What happens is the controversy started. Not controversy started. The communists and the Americans don't like each other. They hate each other to death. Now this is the part where it gets a little tricky. You see, what happens is they have this thing called MAD, Mutual Assured Destruction. This is factual. What happens is if both sides go into full-scale nuclear war, they wipe each other out. Yes. Obviously, if you were if you were past 8th grade, you should know most of this, if not all. I'm just explaining this for younger Pokemon fans, and that is why I'm keeping very limited to what I say. Okay? I'm keeping this limited. I don't want to cause any problems. And basically, at the end of all this, the Soviet Union shortly fell. But due to some devices that were used on Japan, and we've already explained earlier that Pokemon are primarily found in Japan, they also make Pokemon even more scarce, and they probably would reduce the amount that are in the States. I don't know. It kind of varies. The ones that were controlled by fear might have tried fleeing. Yeah. Now we gotta talk about modern problems. Now, between the 1900s and the 2000s, the Soviet Union fell between the late 1980s and the early 1990s. Pokemon was starting development between the mid-1990s and the late 1990s. When this was going on, Pokemon was being formed. The Pokemon game was being formed. And then 2000 hits, where everything's all hunky-dory. 2001, 9/11. Boom! That's it. You know what? That's it. The terrorists. They sealed that gap off. So Pokemon was slowly going back. Is it a coincidence that between the September 11 attacks and the Cold War is when Pokemon, the game started to be developed? No conspiracy theory, guys. No, don't think that. It's not a conspiracy theory. Because, I'm talking about something pre-9/11 but post-Cold War. There is that area known as the Area of Peace. And terrorism was not as widely known. It existed, but not as widely as known. until September 11th. Yes. That would worry. That actually spread panic. Not panic, that kind of got people worried in the other places. And yes, terrorist attacks were happening in Japan. It was just not, but 9/11 was something new and different. Because the only other time, and this is another quote from a history document I watched a long time ago in class, is that the only other time America was struck with that much invasion force or enemy attack was when Britain, during the American Revolution, Britain was storming America at New York. And yes, it led to a war, even though the terrorists did fall within 6 to 12 weeks. Now, let's top line, bottom line, short, whatever the heck you want to say. The bottom line is this. There is the problems in the world. I'm not going to explain the causes. Those are pretty left up to why you think they happen. But it's because of the political beliefs and whatnot, but let's just say that problems exist from the terrorist group ISIS, or referred to sometimes as ISIL, to another country such as North Korea. North Korea's problems are usually internal. North Korea has nuclear weapons, and it probably is spreading around that North Korea is threatening Japan again. We should be worried about Ukraine and Russia. The people don't want that the United States and Russia could cross paths, and yes, it could lead to another Cold War, maybe even a hot war, that maybe actual World War III. And then we got the Chinese who are expanding out and building unauthorized islands. If by this logic sense, it would be reasonable for someone to be scared, for a creature that is very helpless to be scared of what's going on. Pokemon have their limitations. They may seem all dangerous and powerful, but they all have their limitations. Even if they wanted to start a rebellion or purge the world of all evil or everything, it's not going to work. No matter their intentions, someone's going to push that button, and that will mark the end. And that's why most Pokemon, even though, for example, the Pokemon Entei, it could easily spread its, usually run around and roar, and volcanoes erupt all over the place, causing massive destruction. It's just not portraying the enemy. Why? Pokemon know better than to do that. They're going to put themselves and maybe even the whole world at risk. Now, I'm not going to get into nature must keep a balance. No. That's simply an excuse for the legendary Pokemon Entei, Raikou, and Suicune. Moltres, Articuno, and Zapdos, that's a different story. But those Pokemon, and the word is also have a play into this. Like I said, he doing all the good work, reviving all the dead Pokemon, and starting an uprising. Same truth applies. Not to keep a balance of nature, but to prevent a World War III. Because ultimately, like it was portraying the enemy, Pokemon worlds are almost destroyed all the time. And yes, they're from Dragon Force and the Pokemon Gen 5 movies, from Arceus Gen 4. I'm not sure, I never watched the Gen 3 movie, Gen 2. And Chiron could have easily destroyed the world if he was not careful. Gen 2 Pokemon, the Entei thing, the unknown spreading, although that could change. I'm not sure if they would stop eventually. They would not eventually surrender. And yes, this is going off to the fourth, and this is kind of going off to the fourth question. Why do Pokemon in the anime not just simply rebel? And this is simply talking about one of the possible explanations. Do not take this as reasons. It's possible. But if these facts are indeed true, that would show a direct correlation between the real world and the world of Pokemon, and thus unlocking more anecdotal evidence, which could ultimately unlock more physical evidence, until we get to the final key, which is finding a one living Pokemon Or this could simply all be false, and I just simply been hearing things, and I'm probably crazy. Or what do you think? Just please don't be controversial in the comments or whatever, because I do not want a controversy. I do not want to deal with a controversy. I do read the comments, believe me. And I will crack down on this. And also, I should not receive any copyright claims for what I'm saying. Even though Pokemon is mentioned, yes. I am simply referring locations to the game and using copyrighted source material as citations for my source. And the history itself should not be copyrighted. I mean, talk about like World War II, Soviet Russia, how communists came about. Talk about all this possible stuff. And yes. Wait a minute, I have one last piece of evidence. Why is it that Arceus and Mewtwo, why didn't they stand down? One word. Ignorance. Arceus and Mewtwo do not know what a nuclear bomb is. Nor do they know what a train ICBM is, an ICBM is, mutual assured destruction, all that razzle-dazzle. Arceus is asleep for 2,000 years, and Mewtwo was created in the lab. Yes, he's a psychic, but he doesn't have all the knowledge. That's why he needed Nurse Joy to understand Pokemon philosophies. But he did not use her to find out knowledge for such stuff like ICBM. That was not his concern. He thinks he could take over the world. Eventually, if Ash didn't step in, it would have been a World War III. That would have actually been the end of the Pokemon. End of the Pokemon series altogether. It'd be like, scrap the rest of the gen. We just got the Pokemon world destroyed by nuclear weapons. How are we going to continue? Let's just scrap the project. No, obviously you're not going to do that because that's never mind. Alright, that's enough for today. I have enough to say. Enjoy my Minecraft clip. It's just simply a little bit of exploration of my world, and that's it. Bye. Hello, my name is Jimmy, and I want to talk about something that's been on my mind for a long time. So, apparently, I went onto the internet, and I looked up, could Pokemon be real? And basically, what I got results was simply this. Could technology bring Pokemon to life? Could technology bring Pokemon to life? Does Pokemon take place in the real world? ETC, you get the idea. But I want to do something different. I want to take a look at